Hey everyone, in this video, we are going to uncover 7 of the best habits of great programmers. If you are someone who is interested in programming or you are already a programmer, then this video is for you. I will first cover the habits and then I will discuss how you can develop these habits yourself. By the end of this video, you will learn what it takes to become a great programmer and the steps that you can take to quickly become one as well. So, without further ado, let's jump into the video. The first habit is writing clean code. Let me just first say that being a great programmer is not all about how much technicals you know, but also about how well you can communicate and collaborate with other people. One very important way that you can go about communicating with other people is through writing clean and well-organized code. Great programmers write clean and well-organized code. So this means that they use descriptive variable names and write clarifying comments if it is absolutely necessary. And most of the time, if your code is clean enough, you don't even have to write comments because it's pretty self-explanatory, right? So great programmers write comments only when it is absolutely necessary. And by absolutely necessary, I mean that it provides context or documents important decisions or assumptions so that the collaborators can understand their approach in the code. Now, let's talk about how you can go about learning how to write clean code. And one of the best ways to learn how to write clean code is to get feedback from someone else. Right? This person could be a collaborator or a mentor. If you don't have anyone that you can rely on, you can always ask AI or ChatGPT if your code is clean enough, and it often tells you where you can improve on. It's surprisingly good, actually. But, it's always better to have a real person to give feedback on because people-to-people communication is often more clear, right? And the second method is to read books. There are 2 books that I highly recommend when it comes to writing clean code and architecture. In fact, I literally just said their name. The first book is called Clean Code, and the second book is called Clean Architecture. Now, these 2 books will teach you a ton about the best practices and approaches that you can take when it comes to writing clean code. Right? And third, you can always just study the code of great programmers themselves, right? One of the best ways to study anything is through imitation. And, study what makes their code brilliant and easily interpretable by other people. And doing all these will definitely give you a good idea of what clean code looks like, right? And lastly, you have to practice writing clean code yourself. The best way to strengthen your understanding is through doing and practicing, right? This applies to almost anything you do, right? If you want to get good at basketball, you can't just read a book on basketball and expect yourself to be LeBron James, right? You have to practice. You got to get on the field every day, right? You got to practice. And practice writing your own code and get feedback to see if it is actually clean enough, right? You can't just let yourself look at your own code and be like, oh, this is clean enough. No, you gotta have some external source to give feedback on your code, whether it's AI or an actual person. And this way, you'll become a clean coder in no time. And third is testing. I know that a lot of people hate testing because it is boring and redundant. I get that because I also want to just program new things, right? I don't want to build all the tests. It's very time consuming and boring. However, testing is really important to make sure that your code is working as expected. And it helps to identify and fix bugs before they cause significant problems that will take even longer to fix than writing automated tests. It is a whole lot easier to identify bugs when just added a new feature than fixing all the bugs at once when you finish the whole product, right? So in the long run, tests do pay off as it prevents major money-costing bugs. And testing allows you to make sure your code does not interfere with existing code. This is important as new features often do break existing features and could cost a lot of money, costing problems, right? You don't want that to happen. And writing tests may seem like a boring and time-consuming task, but it is definitely going to save you a lot of time in the long run, as it makes it easier to debug early on. And a lot of the times you actually find yourself simplifying and making your own code better just so you can write the test easier, right? So it is very important to develop test writing habits early on in your programming career, right? Practice writing tests whenever you make a new feature or start a new project, right? Get these habits ingrained in your head. And I also included documentation because, well, documentation is another one of those tasks that may seem really boring and unimportant, but I will have to say that it is absolutely essential. Documentation first allows you to collaborate better with other people, as they can easily follow along with what you did and what you programmed. And some things to document are the necessary tools, installation steps, right? And common problems, right? I included common problems because a lot of times an issue that you have faced will be faced by other people as well. And you might face the same issue again yourself in the future, right? So it can save everyone a lot of time just in case it happens again. With great documentation, it is a lot easier for everyone on your team to be more efficient and develop faster, right? So you might be wondering what counts as documentation. Well, simple comments, doc strings, and README files can all be considered documentations. So make it your habit to write more documentation. I guess this is also part of writing clean code, right? Sometimes clean code do include documentation to clarify what is really going on. And another great habit is to plan the project before coding, right? Planning the project before coding is actually a really important habit that all great programmers have. A common mistake that amateur programmers make when they start a project is that they jump right into coding, right? Jumping right into action. And this is the wrong approach to take, actually. A great programmer first plans out the structure of the application before coding, right? This way, it is easier to see which part of the project to tackle first, and it is also easier to collaborate with other people when you know what needs to be done. It will also help you with determining the best technologies and tools to use for this specific project so you can plan beforehand. And additionally, it's easier to write clean code if you can break your project into chunks when planning the project. Right? So think about it like if you're building a whole robot, right? You don't just jump straight into building everything. You might want to plan out the robot structure, the individual subsystems, right? You want to do all the planning first before you jump into the action to determine the feasibility and then also give tasks to everyone, right? You don't want to be the only one working on this project. Okay, so you might be wondering, how can I actually plan my project effectively then? Well, there are many great tools out there, such as Miro or Mermaid.js, which you can use for free to help you plan your project. There are probably a lot more out there. You can do some research, but these tools are just examples of things you can use to plan your project efficiently. And yeah, just practice using one of them and see how effective it can be on your next project. And every time you start a project, start integrating these tools into your development flow and see how it goes. And over time, you will see how beneficial it really is. And I also included communication because communication is essential to become a great programmer. Personally, I think communication matters in all fields, and being able to communicate and express your thoughts and ideas will make it easier to collaborate with other people, as they can offer you immediate feedback and help when needed. I think communication is absolutely essential. It's what differentiates mediocre programmers from great programmers, right? Great programmers can communicate really easily and delegate tasks to other programmers, right? And this will make the team so much faster when when you can communicate clearly what needs to be done, right? And also communication can lead to newly generated ideas that can prove to be really important for the project that you're working on. So communication is really important, guys. So how can I work on better communication? In order to practice on better communication, you can start with giving regular updates, right? Regular updates on the progress of a project can keep everyone informed and on track. Second, you can practice listen more actively, right? When someone else is speaking, listen actively and try to understand their perspective, right? Listening to a lot of different perspectives can often boost your own perspective. And this can help you better understand their needs and expectations and can lead to a more productive conversation. And third, learn to use and incorporate collaboration tools like Slack, Monday.com, GitHub into your team so that everyone can communicate more easily, right? It's 2023, you gotta start using more technologies into your workflow. It's absolutely necessary. If you don't, you would just fall behind. And lastly, it is very important to learn how to provide constructive criticism, right? By constructive criticism, I mean that rather than criticizing the person who created it, you should focus on how the code or design can be improved, right? It's something that any great programmer needs to know. And second to last, I included that a great programmer should automate as much as possible. Great programmers should try to automate the repetitive stuff as much as possible because this will save a lot of time. Almost anything that you do over and over again can be automated in some ways today, right? You can start by simply searching up tools for automating tasks that you find yourself doing again and again and see if they can apply to the specific task you're thinking about. And you can also write your own scripts to automate certain tasks, right? Like, for example, you want data on today's weather. You can simply code a Python script to web scrape that data. So you don't have to check it every morning or something like that, right? That was just a simple example of automation. But whatever you do, just find solutions to automate repetitive tasks, right? It will save you time in the long run. It's sort of like an investment. And you can kind of feel proud of yourself for being able to automate certain things like a real programmer, you know. And lastly, I included continuous learning because continuous learning is super important as a developer because there are new technologies and different frameworks being introduced every day. If you don't continue to learn, you'll find yourself falling behind. New technologies could drastically change the efficiency of a demanded task, which means that you have to be able to adapt and learn those technologies if you want to stay relevant and valued in the workforce. And learning and introducing new technologies to your team or company could make them much, much more efficient and save everyone a lot of time. And so that's it for this video. If you guys enjoyed it, please like and subscribe. If you have any questions or concerns, please leave them down in the description below. I'll try to answer them as soon as possible. And yeah, that's it for this video. See you guys next time.